Welcome to Pagan Coffee Talk. Here are your hosts, Oswin and Lord Knight. Today, let's talk about whether or not witchcraft is inherently political.
Do you really want me to answer that question?
Yes.
Yes. Craft's always been political.
All right. Well, I read...
From the day it was conceived to the day it dies. Why? Because we used to give advice. We were advisors to kings and queens.
Right.
If that don't make us political, nothing does.
Very true.
That used to be our job.
Well, I was just wondering your opinion because I had seen a blog post that basically said that the term witch has a very long, extensive political history attached to it.
Yep.
Like if you look back to Salem witch trials, the Inquisitions, that term was originally an accusation.
Right.
Right. And being accused of that was a political deal because you were going to wind up being tortured and possibly killed for it.
Well, you got to remember.
And then it goes on to say that modern witches, you know, we've gained all the rights because people had to fight politically to get those rights.
Yes.
You look at popular figures from history, and some maybe not so well known, like Selena Fox, Silver Ravenwolf, Laurie Cabot, Lady Santana. They all fought politically to be legal nonprofits, to have equal rights to be considered a church.
Well, think about it this way. The word witch was never a word we chose for ourselves.
How so?
Well, I mean, in the ancient days, what we refer to as witches, they wouldn't have called themselves that.
Oh, no, but now it's a word we choose.
Right, just like Wicca and all this other stuff, it's a word we choose. That word witch, believe it or not, from my understanding, it could be wrong here, is a Christian word. It was a word that they used to describe people who practiced certain beliefs that went against what they believed.
Right.
So again, it was an accusation. It was a dirty word.
That's what I was saying in the beginning. It was an accusation, and
right.
The accusation meant death.
Right. I mean, but even before then, witches didn't call themselves that.
Well,
they were either the shaman or the healer or the elder or what. They weren't witches. They didn't call themselves that.
True.
So, but yeah, I mean, as far as craft being political, yeah, we're political. We should stick our noses in there. I mean, why should the pagan community or the witch community at large be any different than any other religion in the world as far as being political?
True. Well, I mean, what about separation of church and state?
Well, of course, the separation of church and state, but Christians use their morals and ethics to vote with, correct?
Correct, yes.
I mean, Christians vote for people who represent their values from their religion.
Yeah, and by that standard, no, we shouldn't be any different.
We shouldn't be any different. I mean, literally, that's all we're talking about. I mean, again, I'm not going to sit here and ever spout out, hey, you should vote for this person or that person or endorse anybody.
Right.
All I can sit there and tell you is, hey, you know, when it comes to voting, if they're not living up to your morals and standards, don't vote for them.
Right. Do your research.
Do your research. For us in our tradition, keeping your word is considered a pretty big deal. Why would I not expect that from my politicians to represent me?
Right. And I know in your personal communications with some politicians, you've really called them out on that.
Yes. That you need to keep your word. If you want me to vote for you, this is what you're going to have to prove to me. I know there is one politician, and yeah, I honestly believe he's broken his oath, you know, and I've called him out on that before. But, you know, that's me and my personal accounts, not.
Right. Well, that was going to be my next question. I mean, now that we do have rights and we are able to be recognized as nonprofits, we're able to be recognized as a religious organization. is there a need now for organizations, pagan organizations, to get involved directly into politics?
No more different than any of the other religions. You know,
Well, I'm talking about more of a need, like going to court, fighting these battles. Should we band together as like one organization
we should try. I
in
mean,
our local areas?
in our local areas, yes. I mean, there should be no reason why in the world anybody like in prison should not be able to get their hands on literature that they need to practice their pagan beliefs. No, I understand that might mean that they might not get certain tools and have to do more rituals alone or in certain times without certain things, but it can be done.
Okay.
If your coven is pro-life, then go to the march as a coven. It ain't no different than the Catholics doing the same thing.
But no, should we broadcast that as a coven? I mean, you've long said that, like, in our local area, there's a pagan group who sponsored a highway cleanup. Roadside, the roadside cleanup things.
Yeah.
And they've put their name on one of the signs.
Well, again, don't have a problem with that per se. It's just a little cringe for me, but okay, whatever. You want to adopt the highway, great.
Well, but that's what I'm saying.
Where this one group, from my understanding, wound up in trouble was they did collection for toys for kids.
Uh-huh.
Well, they went and gave them out and did hot chocolate and some cookies or something like that for the kids, and they sung holiday songs,
Mm-hmm.
the way it was described to me. And then when it was found out what the group was after all of this, they took all the toys away from the kids and gave it back to them.
Oh, damn. I don't remember that.
All right. Which, again, I like what they did. I know they did it. Hopefully they did it because they wanted to do it.
Right.
Our problem is that we were taught in our tradition, feed in over our head, was we cannot allow anyone to speak evil of our good.
Right.
And basically, this is that concept that we should do things, but you need to do them anonymously. If you're going to donate food, just donate food. If you're going to donate toys, get a lot of toys and just give it to Toys for Tots and call it a day. Drop it off at the local police station or wherever they're collecting them at and call it a day.
Right. Just don't, leave your organization name or anything like that.
You don't need to do it. It's for the kids. It's kind of messed up because you kind of like them, but I kind of hate them. And it's the same thing with the guys that do they'll set up the camera and then they'll go through during the holidays and pay for people's groceries.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that's great, but you're doing it for publicity.
You're right. They're doing it to get a video because everybody gets that feel-good moment.
Right.
I like it when stuff like that might be caught on camera, but it's not known that person being generous and buying somebody's groceries or something like that. If it's caught on there but it's not done from that person.
Right. I actually saw a video. No, I actually saw a video not too long ago, and there was a street performer, and she was singing, and she had her little thing out there that you could put your tips in, and right next to her, was a homeless man digging through the trash.
Yeah.
Pulling out, chicken nuggets. And she saw him and she was like, no. So she stopped singing, went to go get her tips, pulled money out of her tips and handed it, said, here, go get you some fresh ones. But you got to promise me you're going to go get fresh ones.
Right.
And he was very grateful. And it wasn't long after that. And this is just somebody recording her off the street because, she was pretty good. And it not even a minute later, there's a man comes from behind and puts more money into her thing. And apparently it was more money than what she gave the homeless man.
See, See, I like
So
that.
I'm like you. I prefer things like that where it's like, oh my God, did you just see that?
Right. It's more of an organic thing. I can understand a big organization like a church or something like that, sitting there and like going to a grocery store going, okay, we've got this much money. The first 100 people, can you use this on their groceries? And then I'm recording it. But again, I still see this as them stroking their own ego more than actually doing something good.
Right. I mean, I would rather, if something like that were going to happen, I would rather not see and just find out that some anonymous organization or anonymous person donated money to the grocery store so that those first 100 people could, get free groceries.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like that. I've heard of it happening where like the person in front of the drive-thru pays for your food.
Right. And then you pay for the next person's food.
Right. And it starts this chain effect for a little while. They're like, well, I can really afford my own food, but I'll pay for mine. I'll pay for the next person's.
Right.
And those I find neat until somebody comes along going, oh, I don't have the money.
Right.
And finally actually gets a meal. Don't get me wrong. I understand where people find it hard to give to people nowadays, because especially if you don't know if that person's going to go out and get drunk instead. You don't know if that person's going to go out and buy, drugs.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it's been that way for a while.
Well, I mean, it makes it even harder on these people because I don't know about you. I don't carry cash that often anymore.
No, I don't either. There was a guy in the local area who would stand out with a sign, and I never had any money, but I used to carry extra water in my car. And if it was a hot day, or even if it was a nice day, I'd offer him a water because it's what I had.
Right. Like I said, I like these ideas better because I'm sorry, there's still too many people out there in the world that's got this bad mojo about us because they don't quite understand, or even some other religions say certain things, and they could say what in the world they want, but I don't see what that has to do with kids getting toys or not getting toys. And would you really not accept food if you're starving to death just because it was the wrong religion?
I wouldn't know.
I wouldn't.
Free food's free food. Just saying.
Well, I mean, I know this is like way off the topic. I mean, but it's like I sit there and watch these videos, and every Sabbath that seems to come up, hey, is Christmas, really pagan? No, Christmas is not pagan.
Right.
Christmas is Christmas. Hence the reason it's called Christmas.
Right. Christ Mass. Christmas.
All right.
I mean, come on.
We have Yule. And it's a lesser.
Right.
We don't really care that much. It's not like hitting one of the grands.
No. Grands are a completely different subject.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think so too.
I forgot what this subject was supposed to be about.
Being political.
Oh, yeah, we should be political. I'm already telling you, we already are. And yes, we should vote for the candidate that has our best ethics and morals and what we believe in. Do your research.
Right. Just be careful about what you do in the public eye as far as putting your religion out there on top of it.
I hate to be this way. Even in this day and time, I still think we need to put our best foot forward at all times.
Right.
Because, all it takes is one person doing the wrong thing with the wrong, and the next thing you know, it's all about the witches.
Exactly.
See what they're doing to our kids, and it gives the Christians too much ammo.
It really does. Well, and not just the Christians.
No.
Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another episode. Pagan Coffee Talk is brought to you by Life Temple and Seminary. Please visit us at lifetempleseminary.org for more information, as well as links to our social media.
Facebook, Discord, Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit.
We travel down this trodden path, a maze of stone and mire. Just hold my hand as we pass by a sea of blazing pyres. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning breaks. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning